It is now 2016. 2015 is gone, kaput. Bye bye. Another 365 days of our lives have flown by. And it is now 2016. And I have decided to do my year in review video, vlog, video, thing, film, I don't know. Using these cue cards that my sister-in-law printed out the other night. They're supposed to be like conversation starters. Considering I can't remember pretty much what I did yesterday, I thought these would be good to kind of jog my memory of what happened in 2015. So without further ado, let's get underway. Drum roll please. So the first one is most memorable moment in pop culture. Now, I think this can be taken a lot of different ways. What might seem memorable to some people wouldn't seem memorable to other people. So I guess a few things that happened in 2015 would be Caitlyn Jenner changing her sex from male to female. And that was a big thing in 2015. It was a big impact on the LGBT community around the world. Caitlyn Jenner became very much a figurehead for the LGBT community. Another memorable moment in pop culture history during 2015, for all you movie lovers and people that love sci-fi and fantasy and all that sort of stuff, is the new Star Wars movie. And a lot of people wouldn't consider that a pop culture phenomenon, but it is one of the highest grossing films of all time, especially in the box office and in its opening weekend and week, I think. It broke some records and it was a very good movie. Another moment in 2015 was Adele. Adele came back with a new single called Hello, and it was I'm pretty sure it was the fastest selling single of all time. Don't quote me on that, but she has come back this year after a really long break and has titled her new album 25, continuing from her old albums, which was 21 and 22, based on her age. She's only 25. What have I done with my life? Anyway, next on the list, best conversation you had this year. That's a tough one because, like I said, I can barely remember yesterday, so trying to think what the best conversation I had of 2015 is really tough. But I have to say, probably the best conversation I had of this year is probably a private one, so you're not gonna know what I had talked about. Unlucky. The best moment of the year. Best moment of the year, this probably isn't a best moment for me per se, but the best moment of the year would have to be my brother and his bride, his fiance, blah blah, whatever you say, wedding back in November. That was probably one of the best moments of the year that I can remember, because I have a bad memory. I probably mentioned that before, but because I have a bad memory, I can't remember. So being cheesy, that was probably the best moment of the year. There probably are other moments that I can't remember. Anyway, on with the list. Hardest you laughed this year. Now that's just like trying to remember the best conversation. I can't remember when the hardest I laughed a lot. I tend to laugh a lot. And probably any of the times I laughed the hardest this year included my housemates, Ayla and Tanya. Definitely some of the funniest moments of the year were laughing at her impressions and stories that she came back with, because she was a nurse in a hospital. So she had some fantastically funny stories. She always put on some great impressions, so they always made me really laugh. And I'm sure there were plenty of other times that I laughed really hard, but I can't recall. Next, favorite holiday memory of the year. I didn't really go on holiday this year, as in I didn't really leave the country. Yeah, I didn't really go on a holiday. I went on a bit of a little road trip with my friends. We did a bit of the Wild Atlantic Way, down to the most southern tip of Ireland, which is Mizenhead, I think. And we travelled up to Killarney National Park. We travelled up to Clare and Kerry and Limerick, and we covered quite a bit of ground in like 2 days of travelling. So that was probably the closest thing I have to a holiday this year, and the whole memory of that 2-day trip was fantastic. Most embarrassing moment of the year. Not gonna lie, I don't embarrass easily. I have no shame. So this is kind of not relevant to me because I don't get embarrassed. Meh. Best thing you did for someone else this year. Best thing I did for someone else this year was I gave a gift to my best friend Aisling. She achieved something quite big in her life. She's very big into if you're not watching this from Ireland, she's big into Gaelic football, which is one of our national sports, and she got a starting position on the Cork ladies football team, and that was a huge achievement for her. And I decided it would be great to print a photo from the day of the All-Ireland final up in Croke Park, put it in a frame, and around the picture I put quotes throughout the football season that were taken from articles that mentioned her, or written piece that mentioned her, I put into it. But yeah, that was probably the best thing I did for someone else this year, you know, because I'm all thoughtful and shit. Anyway, next. Favorite song of the year. My favorite song of the year. That's really tough because like, there's a lot of songs that came out. Justin Bieber just blew up. He just came out with a new album and it exploded. Adele came out with her single, which blew up the charts as well. There are just so many different genres of songs that came out in 2015, and it's the same every year. There's always going to be amazing songs, but I can't really pinpoint what my favorite song was of this year. Best piece of advice you got this year. Some of the best advice I actually haven't got directly to me, and this will be in another vlog that I plan on doing in the coming weeks, is from a guy called Casey Neistat. Now, people that are big into vlogging and watch like the likes of Fun for Louie or Ben Brown, or a lot of the things he says on his channel or on his vlogs every so often, have really impacted me in the last number of months, which is weird because like, how can someone you've never met impact you so much? But truthfully, he has, and I would highly recommend anyone watch his videos. Best movie of the year. This is like the best song of the year. There are just so many different movies, so many different genres. How do you pick just one? But no, I don't have a favorite movie of the year. There have been so many that I can't even pick one off the top of my head right now. If I do, I'll come back to it, but right now, you know, let me know what your favorite movie of the year was. Maybe that will help me choose. Most memorable trip of the year. The most memorable trip of this year, and it's the only kind of trip I took this year, was that road trip I mentioned earlier. The road trip with my friends, with Aisling, Lewis and Lorna. We went on a road trip from Cork to Mizenhead to Killarney and Killarney National Park. We just kind of went down and up and back around, and it was a really good few days. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't great. It would have been nicer if the weather was nice, but you know, you still got to see quite a bit of the country, and it was pretty cool. Hopefully we'll do another one soon, and we'll like go somewhere else. Biggest lesson learned this year. The biggest lesson I learned this year. I learned this year that you cannot make everybody happy, and it is important to make yourself happy. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned. So that's it for my 2015 year in review. Based on those conversation starters or those cue cards that I had, what were your favorite moments? What was the best piece of advice you got this year? What was the best movie that you saw this year? What was the best thing you did for someone this year? I'm looking forward to see what 2016 brings for me, for my friends, for my family. And I'm excited to really get stuck into this vlogging thing. I am I know I'm not very good in front of the camera, but hopefully that will improve. Anyway, I'm going to sign off this vlog. Enough of my jibba jabba and yapping on, but nothing in particular. I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment below on some of the things that you remember most from 2015 and what you hope 2016 will bring. Until my next vlog, bye!